Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be my first initial tier list for the carry role in 7.32e. Now, while this patch may have been underwhelming, it definitely had some meaningful changes in regards to what is good. Early game, battling for some tower taking. Last patch, it was a lot of summons. This patch, it's in the form of a meteor hammer. And then in the mid game, we're farming a lot, 15 to like 25 minutes, a lot of farm. And then in the late stages of the game, it really comes down to, I think, being difficult to kill or heroes that are really good at getting that early momentum. So the thing about Meteor Hammer is it's good when people are ahead, but it's a useless item if they're behind. So carries, they either need to scale really hard or they need to shut down that offlaner, preventing them from getting a Meteor Hammer in the first place. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started in the tier list. In the F tier, these are heroes that I just virtually would never pick in the carry role. That is Gyrocopter and Riki. Unless something significant is revealed to me, I just don't see how these heroes fit the meta. This meta in the carry role, I believe, is a lot about Battle Fury and a lot about Radiance. So even though Maelstrom is still picked up on ranged heroes that are looking to farm if they're not stat-based heroes, I do believe that Battle Fury and Radiance are going to be the key items in this meta. And so Gyro is a farming hero that doesn't buy any of these items, and Riki just doesn't fit the meta at all that I kind of talked about. Next up in D tier, I think Pudge is just worse than all these heroes that buy Radiance. And then these heroes are either really weak in the early game or they significantly suck against Radiance. Marcy never buys MKB until later, so she sucks against Radiance. And all these other heroes are either really slow or they don't scale. Next up in C tier, these are the heroes that I think have a place. I think if it's a good game for the hero, if you have good matchups scaling later on, these heroes, the weaker ones at fitting the meta, for example, I think Wraith King is a solid Radiance builder, but I don't think he's as good as some of the heroes that we're going to list higher up in the tier list. But I do believe these heroes, like Huskar and Anti-Mage, for instance, can shut down certain offlaners really hard. So if you're against a melee hero with no stun, Huskar, check. If you're against a hero like Sand King with a targeted stun and mostly magic damage, Anti-Mage, check. All these other heroes, I think if you're comfortable playing them and it looks like a good maybe 10th pick, maybe 7th, 8th pick, then you can fit them into the draft. But unless you really have a reason, I just wouldn't go for these heroes in the C tier. So coming up on B tier, we actually have a lot of heroes that were OP last patch. We have Drow, we have Lina, and we have Slark. All three of these heroes got nerfed. I think they're still viable, but I think that the items that got buffed and the items that got nerfed simply hurt them on top of the fact that they got nerfed. So I think the pace of the game is going to be similar as it was before, but there's going to be heroes that are better at securing their lane and better at transitioning into the mid game than Lina and Drow as ranged heroes. And then as Slark, I feel like that Pounce nerf didn't seem like much, but I've seen it several times already where people are dying in the early to mid game because their Pounce is on 1 or 2 second cooldown. So I think it's a bigger deal than it seems like I thought it was at the start of the patch. Looking at these other heroes, Alchemist is a solid Radiance hero. I think Jug actually has 3 different builds right now. He can go for the Maelstrom, the Battle Fury, or the Radiance. All of these are feasible builds based on who he's against. And then heroes like Troll and Terrorblade are really good at single target killing of people who built Radiance, and they also have decent laning phases in a lot of matchups. Spectre buys Radiance. Razor's really good against these tanky guys that run in with the Radiance, not doing all that much damage. He just links them, takes their damage, and kills them. Bloodseeker, good single target. Monkey King I might be underrating a little bit by putting him this far on the side of B, but what I like about Monkey King is how hard he shuts down offlaners that are looking to like rush a Meteor Hammer. Lifestealer, I like him up in B tier as well because of this Meteor Hammer meta. Like, people are picking kill combos that are trying to stun you into Meteor Hammer stun, and a lot of the stuns are good enough that you can't get away from the Meteor Hammer, but you would be able to use Rage or Jug Spin before the Meteor Hammer lands on you. So I think heroes that are able to get past that are significantly better right now, because we always have to look at what the offlane hero pool is. You know, last patch I talked about all these summons heroes. I'm still seeing some summons heroes, but I really am seeing a majority of offlaners be a normal offlane hero, and their form of taking the tower is Meteor Hammer. So any hero that's good and durable against these combos, or at least harder to kill later on by these combos, basically making the Meteor Hammer irrelevant past the laning stage, I feel like go up significantly in value. With that in mind, I've been seeing a lot of Morphling, a hero that's incredibly difficult to boo out of the lane, and you will not burst him down with that Meteor Hammer combo because he'll either get waveform off or at least attribute shift so you're not booting him out of lane with that harass. I also like Luna a lot. Anytime you have a melee 5, I do feel like what Luna does is she gives the rest of her team that mid-game momentum. That 5 to 10 minute, like late laning stage, early mid game, where she's able to give them that bonus damage at night. And a lot of these heroes are just looking to pressure and trade. And Luna, I just feel like I've played 3 or 4 games of Luna right now, and I always feel like my team has the momentum at this stage in the game because of that extra bonus attack damage, and my early laning stage is as strong as ever. Clinkz, I put him in A tier because his win rate in my bracket at the start of the patch is like 58%, guys. It's absurdly high, and I just have to say that giving him half of his shard for free might have put him over the edge. I think he's still conceptually a weak hero, where he doesn't take towers, doesn't take objectives, and overall doesn't end the game. But I think it's safe to say that if you want to play Clinkz, now's the time. I put Naga back in A tier because I loved Naga Radiance. And if you guys were keeping up with my meta videos, I said Naga Radiance fell off because of Greaves sustaining through the harass of the Radiance. And now Greaves have been nerfed and Radiance has been significantly buffed. What I like about SF is he's kind of similar to Luna. He's a ranged, high damage dealer that can boot people out of lane, and when he's dealing with these Radiance guys mid to late game, he does enough damage to just chunk them down, because Radiance is all about that long, drawn-out fight. So these heroes that don't care about taking the long, drawn-out fight naturally build into items like Satanic, and then just also do a lot of single-target damage, and are usually afraid of getting bursted. Because you're against these Radiance heroes, SF doesn't like playing against like the Marcies and the Ursa carries, right? He likes to play against heroes that are going to barely chip him down. He can just freaking hit them. I have a feeling that SF will be pretty strong in this meta. And the one that people may have been seeing a lot creep up in your high MMR pubs that you've been watching on streams, that is going to be Carry Abaddon. He's just one of the best Radiance builders in the game naturally, and he's definitely one of the heroes that was impacted significantly by lowering the cost, because he doesn't farm very fast at all before the Radiance. And what's the best farming item after Radiance for fighting and for farming? That's Manta. Abaddon has a passive that benefits from Manta. His Manta illusions do apply the Curse of the Avernus. In the late game, you can buy Manta Blink, and you have almost an instant silence that makes them also not be able to move unless they press BKB. So it's incredibly crippling to supports, as well as forcing cores to pop BKB for seemingly nothing. One thing I will say about Abaddon is the skill build seems to be 0-4-4. A lot of people are just leaving Mistcoil at 0 points and taking stats. And then in the late game, once you buy the shard, that's when you level the Mistcoil. But the whole idea is that Mistcoil doesn't help you trade in lane because it does self-damage. And then the passive is more of like an Orb of Venom that makes them have to run away from you because they don't want it to trigger. And the shield helps you win trades. But that base attack time buff is what sent Abaddon over the edge. He went from 1.7 base attack time to 1.5, and that is significant increase in attack speed, which means that he triggers that Curse of Avernus that much faster, utilizes items like Manta and a Soul Cuirass that much better, and that's why we're going to see more and more Abaddon. Last but not least, the only hero that I'm confident is very good right now is Ursa. I thought he was pretty strong last patch. He chunks through these Radiance building heroes, and he also builds Battle Fury, and I just think he fits all of the power curves of the current meta. And he can also not die to Meteor Hammer combos, and all these guys standing in front of you that want to just sustain with the Meteor Hammer, be tanky, threaten you, Ursa threatens them harder. So I'm not 100% sure Ursa is the best hero in the patch right now, but I am sure that he is a good carry that you should be looking to learn if you haven't already. And if you already do know Ursa, now's the time to shine for Mr. Fuzzy Wuzzy. So thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will be continuously updating this tier list when more and more information comes out for 7.32e. The new patch will be released late April, so we're looking at this patch and doing the best we can with it for approximately a month. So bear with me, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.